Hello world, I'm Attila. Today I will talk about the Black Swan book. And this was a book about these black swans, these extremely rare events that have an extremely big impact. And in retrospect, they are predictable. So the book said that like these a small number of black swans explain almost everything in our world, from the success of ideas and religions to the dynamics of historical events. So both world wars, the fall of the Soviet Union, 9/11, and even the current crisis that we are living, the coronavirus, they can be explained by these black swan events. The book talks about our blindness with respect to randomness. And like it said that like if we want to predict the future, we must count with black swans. And humans in general, we don't learn rules, just facts and only facts. So instead of generalizing, we learn about the rare cases, and we don't learn the meta rules, such as the rule that we have a tendency to not to learn rules, and we don't seem to be good at getting these meta rules. And then it asks who is more valuable, the politician who avoids a war, or the one who starts a new one and is lucky enough to win. So there are these events that don't happen, but we don't give credit for them. And there is also value of we don't know. Everybody knows that you need more prevention than treatment, but few rewards acts of prevention. And our world is dominated by the extreme. And because of the progress of the human species and its growth, the future will be increasingly predictable because the impact of these black swans are bigger than ever. So wars used to belong to a crowd of people. Because it was hard to kill many people if you need to slaughter them one by one. But today, with the tools of mass destruction, all it takes is a button, a nutcase, or a small error to wipe out the entire planet. So one unit can easily affect the total in a disproportionate way. And we said that like we don't understand history for 3 reasons. Everyone thinks he knows what's going on in a world that is more complicated or random than they realize. So our world is very complex, but our mind doesn't like complexity. So we want to simplify, and we simplify by ignoring random events because we just can't count with them. The second is that we can assess matters only after the fact, as if they were in a rear view mirror. History seems clearer and more organized in history books than in empirical reality. And we also have an overvaluation of factual information and the handicap of authoritative and learned people, particularly when they create categories. So, it's said that like the American economy has leveraged itself heavily on the idea generation, which explains why losing manufacturing jobs can be coupled with a rising standard of living. So, Americans figured it out that they only need to do the intellectual work. If they design the product and they leave the manufacturing for developing countries, they can still take most of the profits. And inequality can also is because of this idea generation. Those who don't have access to information so they can generate ideas from it, who don't have access to the internet in America, they suffer because they are very poor, or they don't have the means to actually realize their ideas. And the few who have like outstandingly good ideas, those who have the best ideas, they create a lot of money because of that, and they will be at the top of the inequality gap. And so one unit can easily affect the total in a disproportionate way. And there are two kinds of randomness: the scalable and the not scalable. So height, weight, calorie consumption, a small restaurant owner, these are the not scalable things. But the scalable things, they are much more common. So for example, wealth, income, book sales per author, book citations per author, name recognition as a celebrity, number of references on Google. So the second list is much longer. So type 1 is where we must endure the tyranny of the collective, the routine, the obvious, and the predicted. And the type 2 is where we are subjected to the tyranny of the singular, the accidental, the unseen, and the unpredicted. So, however hard you try, you will never lose a lot of weight in a single day. You need the collective effect of many days, weeks, or even months. Likewise, if you are a dentist, you will never get rich in one single day, but you can do very well over 30 years of hard work each day by day. But for example, if you are a YouTuber who just creates videos, you can create videos every day for like half a year and don't get any money. But then you create just one video that just blows up. It goes viral, multiple millions of people watch it, and you can earn a ton of money. So, and it's very hard to predict these second type of things. And then it said that like we focus on pre-selected segments of the scene and generalize from it to the unseen. And this is the error of confirmation. So it said that like if we haven't seen something, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So I said before, we like stories, we like to summarize, and we like to simplify. And this is the narrative fallacy, because we have a limited ability to look at sequences of facts without weaving an explanation into them. And this same condition that makes us simplify pushes us to think that the world is less random than it actually is. And we behave as if the black swan doesn't exist, because human nature isn't programmed for black swans. We don't understand them. And what we see is not necessarily all that there is. History hides black swans from us and gives us a mistaken idea about the odds of these events. And this is the distortion of silent evidence. And so, for example, it said that there are thousands of authors trying to write their books all day, every day, and that only the New Yorker publication studio, they reject 100 of these book drafts every day. So when we see a successful book, we don't see the hundreds of thousands of the unsuccessful books that they weren't even released. So black swans, they are, and then this one single successful book, they probably became successful because of of luck, because because if a book gets successful, a lot of it becomes scalable, and a lot of people will recommend it to other people, and it gets widespread very fast. And it's said that like we tend to underestimate the role of luck in life in general. We tend to overestimate it in games of chance. So, for example, poker and things like that. And then it talked about a very interesting situation in where less information actually helps. So there was a study where they showed two groups of people a blurry image of a fire hydrant, blurry enough for them not to recognize what it is. For one group, they increased the resolution slowly in 10 steps. For the second, they did it faster in 5 steps. They stopped at a point where both groups have been presented an identical image and asked each of them to identify what they see. The members of the group that saw fewer intermediate steps are likely to recognize the fire hydrant much faster. And so why did I talk about this? Because the more information you give someone, the more hypotheses they will formulate along the way, and the worse off they will be. They see more random noise and mistake it for information. The problem is that our ideas are sticky. Once we produce a theory, we are not likely to change our minds, so those who delay developing their theories are better off. And this is called belief perseverance. This is the tendency not to reverse opinions you already have. And we attribute success to our skills and our failures to external events outside our control, namely to randomness. So we feel responsible for the good stuff, not for the bad. And this causes us to think that we are better than others at whatever we do for a living. So to illustrate this, it showed two very funny statistics. 94% of Swedish people believe that their driving skills put them in the top 50% of Swedish drivers. 94% in the top 50%. And 84% of Frenchmen feel that their lovemaking abilities put them in the top half of French lovers. So then it said that like it's impossible to predict the future because prediction requires knowing about technologies that will be discovered in the future, but that very knowledge would almost automatically allow us to start developing those technologies right away. Ergo, we don't know what we will know. So it's quite impossible to predict technological progress. And while in theory randomness is an intrinsic property, in practice randomness is incomplete information. So if we would have all the information, we would be able to predict randomness. We would be able to predict where randomness comes from and why does it come from there. And like the main message of the book says it again that I will never get to know the unknown, since by definition it is unknown. However, I can always guess how it might affect me, and I should base my decisions around that. So, this was a very interesting book, and I think if you read it, you will get a lot of things different for me than I did, because it's an essay book consisting of a lot of essays, so it's quite difficult to absorb the knowledge that it comes from, and I think each person will get out different things from it. So this is the things that I learned from it. If you are interested in other books like this, you should subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow my podcast. It's available on all the major podcast platforms. If you want me to read a book, then you should just recommend me, and if I find it good, then I will create a video out of it. You can also reach me on Twitter or in the YouTube comment section. I would appreciate any feedback. So, thanks for coming in. Bye bye.